All right, so today is August 31st, 2022, and the interwebs are all aflutter over Michael Saylor getting sued by the Washington, D.C. Attorney General for tax fraud, which apparently is happening. So if you go to, Twitter or your favorite financial media place, then you will see stuff like this. You will see AG Carl A. Racine, which I guess is the Attorney General of DC. We're also suing his company, MicroStrategy, for conspiring to help him evade taxes he legally owes on hundreds of millions of dollars he's earned while living in DC. So basically, the allegation is that he had a registered address in Florida, but he actually lived, for all practical purposes, in Washington, D.C. Florida, of course, has no state income tax, and Washington, D.C. does. So this is an issue for high earners who are playing the arbitrage game between state income tax rates. I mean, the federal is all going to be the same, but if you live in Florida versus living in California, that could be a 13% difference in tax that you pay. So Sailor is obviously the latest one to get caught up in this kind of thing, but this is actually a large problem for lots of high earners, like I guess CEOs, athletes, performers, that kind of thing. Anytime you have a job where you travel around and earn in different jurisdictions, this can be a major issue. So here is some free tax considerations to keep in mind. So one, you want to file your income tax returns accurately, and part of that is if you are in multiple states, and in some states, even the city matters. Um, you want to make sure that you are tracking where and when you are earning money. So excuse me. So this in my last firm, I was actually part of a team that was looking at doing tax consulting for a number of baseball players. And so we got into this whole thing of what's called the jock tax. At least that's what it's called in tax circles. So there are cities and states out there that assess extra tax on people who come in for short periods of time and make a lot of money, like a professional athlete who's there for maybe 3 days and earns whatever, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. Could be a performer, on tour, doing only there for a very short period of time, and then raking in millions of dollars in ticket sales or what have you. So there are some places that tax those extra. There's an extra surcharge tax, or surtax, and what you have to do, in order to file your returns accurately, is you actually have to keep track of where and when you are and earning money. So, you know, when states go after people like this, there's no hard set rule as far as um, what determines where you live, quote unquote, right? They do look at things um, where do you own property, where your car is registered, but in the larger cases where there's more money at stake for the various tax authorities, they'll want to dig deeper. You look at your cell phone records, look at your Instagram blog. I've actually had I've seen people uh, you know reconstruct where they were based on their Instagram feed of, like, oh, I took a picture here, I was geotagged in such and such, and that places me at that location at that date. And that can work for or against you depending on what you actually did. Obviously you always want to file as accurately as possible. So when you're doing all these things, be sure to do things properly. The big where people get into problems is, well, one, let's assume that the AG is correct here and his allegations are correct. If you are living in one place and saying you are living in another, then that is on you because you're just lying at that point. But if it is just a more complex situation, the key is always documentation and logging. The IRS and the various tax authorities, at the state levels, um, They very rarely get people on fraud. It's almost always documentation and logs. So if you were doing things that you're claiming on tax returns, make sure that you actually document those things. And even in the event of an audit, you'll have your documentation and you should be fine. So you know, I don't know what Saylor's doing. I don't know, if the AG is correct or not. Obviously, we will see. I'm sure this will go to court and we'll find out what's actually happening. But yeah, so at the moment, the Twitterverse is all a buzz, and just do your stuff accurately. Anyway, that's my free advice for the time being. Document, log, and file accurately.